Elon Musk says he's a free speech absolutist. But what happens when absolute power meets free speech? Compared to Bitcoin and Nostr, it's starting to look a lot less free. Let's mine deep. Free speech is messy. It's loud, it's chaotic, and it's inconvenient for anyone trying to keep the peace or their reputation. That's why, despite Elon's talk of defending free speech at all costs, we're starting to see cracks in the foundation on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. Take this. Elon recently adjusted X algorithm to emphasize informational and entertaining content while suppressing negativity. That might sound like a noble goal, but who gets to decide what's informational or negative? Spoiler, it's Elon or his team. And if you're someone who challenges his stance, say on immigration, you might just lose your verification badge. That's already happened to multiple big accounts that dared to call out his recent H-1B visa comments. But this isn't just about Elon. This is about the limits of centralized social media. For instance, users frequently report delays in resolving account issues and poor responsiveness from support, a glaring flaw for a platform aiming to be the backbone of global discourse. X is trapped in the same cycle as every other major social media platform. The need to generate revenue through ads, subscriptions, or data means platforms have to curate content that's engaging but not too offensive, safe but not too boring. And in doing so, they inevitably limit free expression. It's not about ideology, it's about economics. So why should you care? Because the incentives that guide centralized social media are the same ones that guide fiat money. Both systems rely on control. And in both cases, the result is the same: censorship, inefficiency, and erosion of trust. You probably already know that Bitcoin fixes the fiat money problem. So how do you fix fiat social media? Enter Nostr. Nostr is a decentralized protocol for social media where users own their data, decide what they see, and publish without gatekeepers. Think of it like Bitcoin, but for speech. There's dozens of wallets you can use to access your Bitcoin, just like there's dozens of clients you can use to access your Nostr feed. That said, Nostr's long-term economics are a little shaky. Right now, a bulk of its development is funded through decentralized donations, and in a twist of fate, many of those come from Twitter's original founder, Jack Dorsey. While this approach supports its early growth, it's unclear how sustainable it will be without a more structured incentive model. But just like Bitcoin, it's still in its infancy, raw, unpolished, but brimming with potential. So while Musk claims to champion free speech, his actions show the inherent flaws of centralized platforms. And the only way to escape those flaws is to decentralize the game entirely. The question isn't whether Elon's algorithm tweaks are good or bad. The question is, can centralized platforms ever truly support free speech? Or is the future of speech, like money, destined to go peer-to-peer?
What are the biggest risks and threats to personal privacy that you have seen today?
I mean, I think that's an incredibly loaded question. I think our society is increasingly digital, and as a result, the attack surface, the ways people can be tracked and surveilled increase on a daily basis. I think it's important to realize that there's hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I think there's a lot of great work being done in the freedom tech space. I mean, Bitcoin is at the forefront there. That just basically empowers individuals to take back control of that data for themselves.
And what do you see as the biggest threats to privacy in the digital age? And how does Nostr aim to address those threats?
I think, unfortunately, what we see right now is that the big tech companies are basically becoming extensions of the state. They're these centralized points of failure. So it's really important that we have protocols, open protocols that are not owned by an individual, a company, controlled by any individual entity, that is just freely available, that you can use without permission. Because those central point of failures are increasingly becoming the main ways people get tracked. And what people don't realize is a lot of their business models are actually surveilling you. It's, as I like to call it, surveillance capitalism. So a company like a Twitter or a company like Facebook is effectively becoming a company that monetizes human data. So if we open that up, the incentives start to align much better for individual liberty.
And are we going to see mass adoption in Nostr?
Yes. I think it's a bootstrapping mechanism. I think we're seeing incredible growth on Nostr. And I think that point that you made, that people will take screenshots from Nostr because I only post there and post it across different social media, is a interesting aspect of breaking this network effect that these walled garden silos see. And you actually see this in the non-freedom tech space. Like, I never used TikTok. My only social media was historically Twitter. So I think people are sleeping on the fact that Nostr doesn't need 100% adoption. What we really need is just like 5%, 6% adoption. At that point, it has critical mass where people can't ignore it. If there's good content on Nostr, it will be cross-posted to Facebook. It will be cross-posted to X, LinkedIn, all these different things. Essentially, the product of these closed walled gardens and these ecosystems that rely on surveillance capitalism is just not a way I want to live my life. So I'm willing to take that risk on a very early nascent protocol, but I do strongly believe that Nostr is the future of basically all communication on the internet.
So how does the adoption of Nostr fit into the broader movement towards decentralization and self-sovereignty on the internet?
Every Nostr post is cryptographically signed and cryptographically verified, so you know that if I send a post out, that I'm the one who sent the post. People don't realize, like, there's no way to verify a tweet. Like, it's impossible. Like, Elon could literally send a tweet from the White House's account, and no one would be able to know that it was Elon that did that. I think as AI starts to progress forward, this idea of like fake news and unverifiable sources is going to become more and more important. And whether you're running a company, whether you're running an individual account, whether you're running a government account, like, you're going to want actually verifiable broadcast information. And I think Nostr is a key point there. And then last but not least, it's incredibly complementary to Bitcoin. Bitcoin payments are integrated into the whole system. So the fact that you can just send Bitcoin payments directly to someone who posts on Nostr, I think is fundamentally changes how we monetize the internet, and people are sleeping on that.
And what would you say are some of the challenges that you see in Nostr?
I mean, the main thing is just network effect. Billions of people are using Facebook products. Hundreds of millions of people are using X. Little over 1 billion people are using TikTok. Like, it's a network effect thing. People want to go where other people are, where their friends are. And that's just going to take time. I think the key is we have to reduce friction. We have to make the apps as beautiful as possible, as easy to use as possible. I think if Nostr is successful, most people won't go there for the freedom. They won't go there for the sovereignty. It'll just be a side effect. And I think there's a lot of similarities there with Bitcoin. You know, with Bitcoin, most people's first touch point with Bitcoin is not going to be for the freedom or the sovereignty. They will learn that after the fact, and then they will lean into it and improve their skills.